Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm here to do my June wrap-up. I read a lot of books this month. I participated in a few readathons. So yeah, let's just get to it. So I participated in historical fiction readathon hosted by Shelley Swearingen. This was pretty basic. You just read within a certain theme, and technically I could count two themes. We have the Revolutionary War stuff, and we have World War II. Then we have the Red, White, and June readathon. The hosts are Shannon from Old American Spirit, Kelly Reads a Lot, Morgan's Endless Bookshelf, Tales with Tay, Cheryl from Candlewick Library, Anne from In Search of Wonder, and Bethany Brings Books. And then we have Picnic in June. Who are the hosts for that? I wrote that down. Lucy from the Lucy Chronicles, Lindsay Lemos, Jamie Gordy, Read with Brucey, Jamie from the Kansan Reader, and Kay's Library. So, yeah, I kind of organized these for the most part by readathon, so we're going to go in order of that one. So the first thing I have on my list is the Red, White, and June. So for Secrets and Spies, I read Sophia's War by Avi. I give it 4 stars. I heard about this one from Christy A. Cole and Cheryl from Candlewick Library. So we have 1776, young Sophia Calderwood witnesses the execution of Nathan Hale in New York City, which is newly occupied by the British Army. Sophia is horrified by the events and resolves to do all she can to help the American cause. And she's recruited as a spy, and it's a whole thing. I give it 4 stars. It was pretty good. I read it in, I think, one sitting. It's middle grade. I kind of cheated on this one because I read mostly short reads, but I initially wasn't expecting to be as interested in the topic as I was. So for Loyalist or Patriot, read a book that explores the differing loyalties. I read For the Love of Liberty by Heather Blanton. This is one of the last books I read, but I had originally put another one there, and then I switched them up, so we're not actually going in order of books I read. We're just going by the order of prompts. But I gave this one 5 stars. I heard about this one from Shannon. I cannot speak today. From Old American Spirit. Frustrated writer Liberty Ridley gets the opportunity to use her ancestors' DNA to relive a memory from the time of the American Revolution. Overwhelmed, basically, instead of reliving a memory, she somehow goes back in time. But I don't really understand the mechanisms of the time travel exactly. I mean, I understand like that they like insert a DNA into your brain or whatever, and the idea is that you're supposed to see a memory. You're not supposed to actually go there. But from what it sounds like, her body was still in the bed where she was asleep. She basically puts herself to sleep and somehow goes there, I guess. The mechanisms are not very clear, but I love the story. We have both sides of the cause. Her love interest wasn't a patriot at first, so we get both sides of the cause. It wasn't a very long book, but I was riveted the entire time, so I really enjoyed it. It sounds like this is a series, but each one is a different character in time travel. The man from the 1700s is Martin Hemsworth. So, will she be able to stay with him? Will she not? That is the question. But I loved it. I just didn't quite understand how that worked. Number 3, Quill and Parchment, a book that features correspondence. I read First Family, Abigail and John Adams by Joseph J. Ellis. I heard about this one from Kelly Reads a Lot. I was going to read Founding Mother also, but honestly, I enjoyed First Family, but by the time I finished it, I was kind of done with the Adams for a while. On another note, every time they said the Adams family in the audiobook, I just wanted to laugh because the Adams family, like, yeah. Anyway, it's basically kind of their love story. Him and Abigail's love story and kind of their correspondence and stuff like that. What this author sort of assumed might have been going through their heads throughout their lives. It was an interesting read. And yeah, there was definitely cracks in that marriage. So it was interesting to read about. Number 4, Faith That Endures. I put The Winter of Red Snow, the Revolutionary War Diary of Abigail Jane Stewart. This is a Dear America book by Christiana Gregory. I give it 4 stars. It's another Kelly recommendation. A lot of these are from Kelly. I know there's a sequel. Maybe I'll read it this month. Who knows? But I never read a Dear America book, and this one was really interesting. I mean, it's just her daily life. There wasn't, like, a ton of war stuff, because she wasn't, like, in the war or anything like that. She did help, kind of, like, I guess rolling bandages or whatever, but it was mostly about their daily life. It was a good read. I enjoyed it. Courage and Petticoats, a female character. I ended up just putting Revolutionary War on Wednesday by Mary Pope Osborne. It's the Magic Treehouse book for the Revolutionary War. Jack and Annie go and have to convince a soldier that the war is worth fighting. Honestly, that one wasn't that interesting. I read that in like an hour. It was fine. I used to love those books as a kid, but I don't know. But yeah, I didn't read anything else for the Revolutionary War, so I just put that down to count as a prompt, even though it barely counts. But Annie is a female, even though she's 7. So, fine. Now let's do Picnic in June readathon. Number 1, what are you eating? I picked pasta. A book with a heavy story. And for that one, I read The Secret Midwife of Berlin, Sisters of the Resistance, number 1, by Suzanne Fortin. I found this one on Kindle, I was just browsing to see what was new on Kindle, like what's recommended for me. And I saw that it was an audiobook, so I got it. This is a new World War II author to me, so it was cool. This is about, this takes place in Berlin, 1939. Clara, who is a British midwife married to a German officer, finds herself an outsider in the place she is called home once, in Germany, once the war starts. She's dismissed from her hospital and powerless as a pregnant Jewish woman is turned away. Clara is forced to basically start taking care of these women in secret. So she's part of the resistance. It's a whole thing. It was interesting to see, kind of the persecution that she went through because she wasn't German. They hated her for being English because the English at that time weren't in the war, so they didn't like her. It wasn't great. Yeah. There's definitely some tragedy in this one. It was a good read. And I'm looking forward to the next one in the series. Each one's going to be about a different sister. The next one comes out in October, so I'm excited. But yeah, I love stories about midwives lately. It's just a thing for me. So, yeah. She was known as the angel of life, apparently. I don't know if she's real or not, but yeah. Number 2, what is the setting? The beach, a book set in summer or at the beach. And I read the Annie Peterson series by Colleen Coble. Edge of Dusk, I gave 5 stars. So we have, this takes place in Rock Harbor. I did not realize that Rock Harbor was a series before this particular series came out. There's already history from the previous Rock Harbor mysteries. So I ended up buying those. I'm going to read them probably throughout the summer. But this one's about Annie Peterson. When she was 9, her sister was kidnapped, and she'd been taking care of her, and she was kind of blamed for it. And then 24 years later, she's a law enforcement ranger, and she's still searching for what happened to her sister, as she also grieves a new loss, the death of her husband and parents in a boating accident. They all died together. She has an 8-year-old daughter, Kylie. She manages a marina, and Annie discovers a dead body floating in the surf, and she starts trying to figure out what's with all the dead bodies. And then her first love, John Destin, comes back after 9 years away, and yeah, you can see where it goes. It's romantic suspense. I gave all 3 of them 5 stars. I kind of loved how Kylie just hated him. It was very entertaining. I just enjoyed bad children in books, and like, she was very loyal to her dad who passed away. There's a twist later, but I love that she kept that loyalty to the end. Like, even at the last book, this is romantic suspense. It's going to end the way it's going to end, right? It's not spoiling it. But I love how she was like, I'm never calling you daddy. Like, literally, that's how her and this guy's story ends. Like, this little girl is like, no, you're not my daddy. You never will be. Ever. And I love it. Like, he was left upset. I mean, like, sad. But I don't know. I kind of love her loyalty. And just how, like, most, romances have the kid slowly warming up to him. And by the end, they're like, father, daughter, or whatever. But not this kid. And I love it. So, I gave it 5 stars. I just enjoyed the whole thing. Number 3. What animals do you see? Peacocks. A gorgeous cover, a teal cover, or a peacock on the cover. I decided to read The Secret Language of Birds by Lynn Kelly. This is the last Lynn Kelly I had to read. And it works. It's about birds. So we have a girl who discovers a pair of endangered birds who laid eggs in the marshes of her summer camp, and the secret plan she hatches to basically help them. So her and her friends that she makes at camp are kind of observing the birds, and it's a whole thing. It was a nice book. I prefer Song for a Whale, or even the one about the 8 blue hearts, I think it was, or the octopus. But yeah, this one was okay. I gave it 4 stars. Number 4. What books did you bring? Favorite historical fiction. I wrote its favorite genre, and I just put historical fiction. And I just put The Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon, Volume 6 on there. I gave it 5 stars. I'm rereading them with Alma and Katri. Well, not really with them. I was already doing it, like, at the beginning of the year, and then I read, like, the first 4 in January. And then they kind of started a little bit after, and I just stopped. And then waited till they caught up to me, and I'm kind of keeping pace with them since this is Volume 4. That was confusing. Who cares? What else are you doing? And I put Tea Party. And I read Summer of Secrets, Seasons of the Heart, #1 by Charlotte Hubbard. I gave it 5 stars. This one was a complete accident. I was just, I typed in the word summer in Audible, and this one came up as, like, something that Audible Plus had that I've been wanting to read, and I forgot about it, and I read it. Now I'm going to have to buy the rest of the series because Audible Plus only has the first one. Of course they do. They want you to read them all. Or listen to them all. But I'm not going to buy it the next one right away because it's a fall book. But in this one we have... This takes place... It's an Amish book. Willow Ridge, Missouri. The family works in a bakery cafe. Rachel and what's her twin's name? Rhoda are the twins, and they live with their mom. The dad passed away, and then a stranger comes in who looks exactly like them, and literally they find out that it's like their long lost sister. It's like right at the beginning of the book. It's not really a spoiler. And was it Rachel? I think it was Rachel. Thinks that her soon-to-be husband has a crush on her triplet sister because she's not Amish and she's kind of intriguing and also looks like her, so it's kind of creepy. So yeah, I gave it 5 stars. It's hard to explain. It was a good read. I'm curious to see what happens next. it's kind of cool, like the whole idea of having basically what happened was they were like crossing a river, and the mom had the triplets, and one of them let go of her and fell in and went, like, left with the current, and they all thought she was dead. So yeah, she was raised English, so that's interesting. Anyway, 5 stars. I really enjoyed that one. It was good. So now for books that don't have anything to do with readathons. I got a couple holds from the library in, so I read them. We have The Burning Side by Sarah Damoff. I gave it some 5 stars. I heard about it from Sarah's Bookshelves Live. I also read the one she wrote last year. I already forgot what it was called. The Bright Years. But this one is about April and Leo, a couple on the brink of collapse. When their house goes up in flames, they're literally the day that their house goes up in flames, he announces that he wants a divorce, and they don't have time to do anything about it before the house burns up, and then they all have to live with her parents. So how does that work? And kind of the dysfunction that goes from there. And we see sort of, we go back in time to see the history of their relationship. It's a really good read. She does complicated family stories well, and yeah. Oh yeah. And then her mom also has some secrets. April's mom, her husband has Alzheimer's, and they were trying to hide it. So like, she's going through all this stress, and then her daughter, son-in-law, and grandchildren come in, and yeah, it's a whole thing. But it was a good read. Then we have The Supper Club Saints by Claire Swinarski. I heard about this one from Chloe from Always Booked. This one came out May 5th. It was one of the ones she talked about in her new releases. I got this one from the library because I wasn't sure if I would like it, and I did. I gave it 5 stars. A mother returns to her small town Wisconsin home after living in a cult, Mommune, and what happens to the other women in the family as they each navigate just motherhood in general. Her name is Cass, the mother who went away. She worked for like a mom influencer, and then they found out like the mom influencer was, trigger warning here, like abusing her kid behind the scenes, and yeah, it was a whole thing. So like all of her sisters and her mother were kind of judging her, like, how did you not know that she was terrible, and you know, how'd you get caught up in this cult? And then it's kind of like, it's all of these moms, like we see the perspective of Cass's perspective coming off on the cult. We see her older sister going through, or she's divorced with older kind of tween kids. And then we have the sister-in-law, the brother's wife, who's about to have a child. And then we have the perspective of their mother, like Cass's mother, the matriarch of the family. And she starts a supper club, and that kind of, the supper club sort of takes her away from being there all the time. You know, so they kind of resent the supper club in a way because it kept their mom working all the time. And each kid handled it differently. And the mom, you also see the stuff the mom went through. She was actually sent to a cult that was worse than what her daughter did. And so basically as a result of that, she comes back and just like decides to raise her kids with no rules, and you see kind of how that turned out. So you see all these different ways of mothering and how none of it is perfect. So it was a really interesting read. Yeah, I give it 5 stars just because like no one is super likable, but like you also can't hate them either. Like they all make decisions, but are trying. So that's what makes a book good. Anyway, then I read a few Boxcar Children books. These are all rereads. I'm reading them in order, and these next 3 just happen to be rereads. I meant to get to the non-rereads this month, but I never did. So I read The Mystery of the Singing Ghost, Boxcar Children number 31. They go camping, and someone tries to scare them. I gave it 3 stars, like with creepy music. I remember it being more exciting than it was this time. Then The Mystery in the Snow, Boxcar Children number 32, gave it 4 stars. This is a rare winter one. I like this series because a lot of the stuff takes place in summer, like they're on summer vacations all the time. So it's kind of perfect for summer, whereas Babysitter's Club is what I read during the school year. But yeah, in The Mystery in the Snow, they go to this like lodge in the mountains where they have like snow activities and people are trying to sabotage them, and it's a whole thing. It was okay. And then The Pizza Mystery. This one was my favorite because it was the first one I ever read, so it was fun to revisit this one. Someone is trying to take Piccolo Pizza out of business, and the Boxcar Children are here to save the day and figure out why. And this one is actually pretty good. Like, you don't see it coming who it is. Maybe it's just nostalgia. I don't know. Now for my dice rolls. For roll number 1, I got a reread, and I reread We Were the Lucky Ones by Georgia Hunter. This is basically the story of the Kirk family and how all of them survived World War II. That's why they're called We Were the Lucky Ones. All of them were sent to different places, but eventually they come back together. It is a heartbreaking read. I've been wanting to watch this TV show, so what I did was I read the book and watched the show at the same time. So, like, I would read a chunk of the book, and then I would watch the corresponding episodes, or try to, and then as soon as I got to something unfamiliar, I would stop the show and go back to the book. Because it gets really confusing to follow the show, because there's so many, like, there's, like, 4 or 5 siblings and their spouses, and you're going back and forth to different locations, and in the book, it's easier to follow because it's chapters, but in the show, you're like, wait, who's who? So it was kind of cool to watch and read at the same time. But I have to say, it was pretty brutal to watch the show because, like, oof. I mean, the actress that played Felicia, the little girl, the baby and the little girl, I think they had, like, 2 different actresses for her. But I have to say, the toddler actress who played her at, like, 2-3 years old was amazing. And then, you know, she grows up and they use a different actress. But yeah, I loved the little baby Felicia. Like, she... Woof. Anyway. It was a great reread. 5 stars. Roll number 2. I got a series, so I read An Island Wedding. This is the last book in the Island of Muir series. I gave this one 2 stars. I didn't like it. And I thought that there were like 3 more books in the series, because Goodreads said so, but no. I bought the next few books that I thought were in the series. They're not even in the series. They're about completely different people. And this one ends on a cliffhanger, and we never hear anything about it again. But apparently we never find out what happens. At the end, one of the characters is pregnant, and that's how it ends. And it's annoying. But yeah, I didn't like this one because the protagonist wanted a wedding, like a big wedding, and her husband-to-be wanted a small wedding, and because he was a foster kid, and, you know, he knows that his side of the church will be pretty empty. And she's playing dumb and not listening to him, and it's really annoying, and I hate that she gets thrown away in the end, and he's happy about it, so I gave it 2 stars. Because she was a total jerk, and she got her way, and it's annoying. The end to that series, and I'm glad of it. Roll number 5, another reread. I reread The Secrets of Midwives by Sally Hepworth. I don't know, I just felt like it. I bought it this month because there was like a deal on Audible where if you used the credit, the next book would be like 40% off or something, and I was giving 2 of my friends the Harry Potter dramatized editions for their birthdays, so I just kept buying books because I had a lot of credits, and then the Harry Potter books would be super cheap. Anyway, I bought this one. We have 3 generations of women, midwives, a woman, her mother, and her grandmother. So, it all starts with Neve. She's a 3rd generation midwife. She is pregnant. She's determined to keep the father a secret, the circumstance of her pregnancy, and drives her mother Grace crazy. She can't let it go. And then Floss is the grandmother. It has her thinking about her past, and we learn about her past 60 years ago, and it is a great read. It's my favorite Sally Hepworth. So, yeah, 5 stars. Then, for Alma's book journey, historical fiction, journey through time prompt, read a book that was set in World War I or World War II. I read The Dance Teacher of Paris by Susan Fortin. I gave this one 3 stars. This was so infuriating. Paris, 1942. Adele is determined to keep her pupils' spirits up. She's a dance teacher, and then she finds out that the Germans demand the names of her Jewish students, so she hides some of her pupils and a couple of their mothers in the attic, and she joins forces with her childhood crush Manu, and they kind of get entangled with the Nazi officers. But what they don't say is that Adele's sister is like in love with a Nazi, and Adele, I mean, okay, look, I understand that it's heinous and all of that. I get her outrage and all of that, but if you're hiding Jewish children, maybe stop antagonizing her, because of course she's gonna tell him, because she finds out, and then they have a fight, and I'm gonna spoil the whole thing because it's so annoying. They have a fight, like, right when she's about to get the kids rescued, and the sister tells her Nazi boyfriend all about the Jews that her sister has hidden, and, oh, yeah, all heck breaks loose. And, yeah, it's like, you're a terrible spy. If you were a smart spy, you would take advantage of this relationship and try to, I don't know, get some favors for the kids through your sister. I don't know, food, stuff like that. Use it to, I don't know, instead of fighting with your sister to break up with him, which I understand why you wanted to break up with him, but, like, you're pretty much outing yourself just to be right. And it was really annoying. Like, you're a terrible spy. Either you want to do the right thing, or you want to protect these kids. You can't have both. Anyway, it just made me crazy. Because, like, she's trying to do the right thing, and I get it. Like, you know, I want her to succeed hiding these kids, but she keeps shooting herself in the foot every time. And it was just annoying. Anyway, 3 stars. Then I read On Juneteenth by Annette Gordon. Read. I gave this one, what did I give it? I forgot to write it down. 4 stars. It's just the history of Juneteenth. It was a good read. Then I read one Lemony Snicket book. I meant to read more, The Carnivorous Carnival. I gave it 3 stars. I'm reading them and watching the show. Then I finally finished Drums of Autumn by Diana Gabaldon, the audiobook. I gave it 5 stars. I think I started it in, like, March or April. I'm just really taking my time with these. Then, Jane Reads, her Christian fiction challenge was a book set in summer, and is also a booktube recommendation. That's why I was looking for a summer book when I found that Amish book. But I ended up using The Summer of You and Me by Denise Hunter. What did I give this book? I forgot to write it down? Good grief. Probably 4 or 5 stars, but it was a good read. Maggie Reynolds is a widow, and her husband's been gone for like 4 or 5 years. She goes to hang out with his family for the summer. She takes her kid to a fair, and she sees someone who looks exactly like him, and what's going on. She joins forces with her husband's brother, and they become a thing. I think I'd have an issue with that if it was me. So I don't really blame people for taking issue with it, which is kind of what happens in this book. I don't know. I just don't think you should be dating your dead husband's brother. That's weird. Sorry, not sorry. Especially if you have a, I don't know, it's weird. Brother's best friend, fine. Brother, no. Anyway. Then I finished Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire dramatized edition. I gave it 5 stars. I'm trying to listen to them so I can catch up to a podcast, but honestly, once I get to book 5, I start to dread it. And I also want to have fun during Back to Hogwarts in September, so I may give Harry Potter a break and just re-listen to the first 4 in September, because I found out that if you listen to the dramatized editions on headphones, it's more fun. So I don't know, we'll see. Because there's also going to be a it already started. Roxy Reads, I think her name is. She's doing like a Harry Potter read-along. I wasn't alive for the Sorcerer's Stone part, so I don't know what I'll do. Then rule number 4 was a prompt, fairy tale retelling, and this is when I went crazy. I read A Dream of Ebony and White, Beyond the Four Kingdoms, number 4, and I just kept going. I read the last 3 in that series. This one I gave 4 stars. This is Snow White retelling. Snow White ends up with the huntsman, and that's the romance, and stepmother's trying to kill her. It's a whole thing. I don't know. I liked it okay. I liked the fact that the dwarves were children instead of dwarves, and she kind of learned to take care of herself rather than relying on him so much, on the love interest. That was nice. I don't know how much I liked her grandfather, but it was okay. Then A Captive, a Wing and Feather. I also gave 4 stars. This is a Swan Lake retelling, which I don't know that story. But Princess Adelaide is Dominic's sister. We knew from his story that she was missing. She wants to be missing, and she's under a curse, so she can't speak, I guess. And then her past comes back. Prince Gabe, and honestly, he's a little too chivalry and princely for my liking. That's why I gave this one a lower rating. I don't know. He was too pushy and like, let me rescue you, which I get a lot of fairy tale. Like, I get that's why people like fairy tales, but I prefer the ones where the women do the rescuing. I don't really find chivalrous, I'll protect you men charming very much. I find them irritating. So I gave it 4 stars. I liked the curse of it all. I liked her friends, Adelaide's friends. I liked Adelaide herself. Gabe was real annoying. So I gave it 4 stars. The curse is interesting too. I don't really know the story of Swan Lake, so yeah. But my favorite was A Princess of Wind and Wave. I gave this one 5 stars. This is a Little Mermaid retelling. We have Isla. She's a mermaid princess. Really, she wants to be out from under the sea. It's kind of the same story. She wants to go to the surface to find the boy she once saved. And she has kind of a sidekick character with her uncle. I forget what his name is already, but he was really funny. Ray, yeah. I guess that's for Sebastian. But he's really funny, and he gets his own love story, and I love him. He's just so dorky. And I do like, what's her name? What's the guy's name? Well, the boy she saved. How the heck did I forget his name already? But yeah, I liked him. He wasn't as annoying as Gabe was. I don't know why his name isn't in the description. But, yeah. How did I forget his name? That's so annoying. Anyway. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I'm seeing, that I'm enjoying mermaid stories more now. Like, I like the Little Mermaid retellings. I like stories that take place in water. So, yeah. And the last book I read was Otherwise Known as Judy the Great. I read this one yesterday just so I could have one book completed on the 30th of June. It's like a little picture book of poems about Judy Blume and her life. I heard about it from the Book Bumble podcast, so yeah. That's everything I read in June. I'd say it's a pretty good number. I don't think this was too long. But yeah. I'm gonna do my what I added to Goodreads. I'm doing all these videos because I'm probably gonna send my Braille note in for repairs. A couple of dots are missing. You don't know what that means or care, but I need to get my videos done so that I can take a few weeks off. Which I don't want to do because I'm gonna miss my Braille note when it's in, I don't know what state, getting fixed. I've already stalled sending it in like twice. I'm probably gonna do it again. Who am I kidding? Anyway, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!
Stop recording video.